Cool.
Okay, it's recording. Okay, so I'll get started. Okay. So, hello. Thank you so much for tuning in to our For the Punks YouTube channel. In case you didn't know, For the Punks is a resource and publication for fans and creators to connect, learn, and grow. Subscribe to be the first to know whenever we upload. My name is Precious. My pronouns are she, her. Joining me today is your new favorite Powerviolence band member from Los Angeles, Anaiah Lei.
What's up? What's up?
Thank
What's
you
cracking?
so much for being here. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's great to be here, honestly.
Of course, yes. Now we have the most exciting news to share. They have just signed to Flatspot Records. For the first time on vinyl this summer, the hardcore and punk label released Zulu's 2019 debut EP, Our Day Will Come, and its 2020 follow-up, My People Hold On. Both the transparent yellow and ultra clear vinyl have completely sold out.
It's done though.
Yes. And this month, which is what I'm really excited about, they have released their brand new music video, Straight from the Tribe of the Moon, on Afropunk. Nathan Lee writes, "Now this is what we need more of in the world. Hard as nails production, vocals that will strip the paint off a tank, and a video that reminds us heavy music is supposed to be fun, goddammit." So we are so excited to celebrate them today. But before we get started, Anaiah, would you like the chance to introduce yourself?
Yeah. So yeah, you did such a great introduction. Yeah, my name is Anaiah Lei. Shoot, I sing for the band called Zulu from out here in Los Angeles. I think you did it really well.
Oh my gosh, no, that's
you covered the bases.
Yes, no, you are just okay, let me stop. We'll get into it of how amazing and cool you are and everything else.
No, we don't got.
But today we are going to talk about how the band developed their musical signature, their relationship to Powerviolence and rage, and what kind of community they wish to create. So I know you guys are all fresh from a West Coast tour. You have so much going on. I would love to begin with a mental health check-in. How are you? How have you been doing?
Well, that's the first. Nobody ever asked that sort of question or like the check-in like that. Thank you. I'm doing all right. I'm still trying to catch up on rest and stuff. It wasn't a long tour. Granted, it was like a week, and then we did like 2 shows after. But it's the first time in a while since I toured, since all of us toured. So it's still like I'm getting used to doing it again. And this time around, I normally play drums in all the bands I play in. So this is the first time where I did vocals. So it was I had a whole different experience on this tour. I had to do vocal warm-ups and stuff, and most of the time I couldn't talk, and I was trying to do vocals right. It was crazy. I was just like, oh, this is a whole new, like, I gotta get used to it. So I'm still recovering from all that. I'm doing pretty good though. I will say. It was and usually on tour I get into moods, and I get like into these sad moods sometimes. A lot of people could probably relate to that. But it was pretty good. It was pretty good this time around. So I feel good. It's nice to be back home. I'm about to be not home again in like another week, but it's good to be I was happy with how the tour went, so that I'm still like radiating off that, you know what I mean?
Yes, you guys have just been so busy. So we are so glad that you're doing okay. Like we mentioned earlier, you all have just signed to Flatspot Records. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Now, how does it feel? How has this whole experience been for you all?
It's been good. I was really hyped to hear when Ricky reached out about wanting to put the band on the label and do an LP with them. Originally, I know he wanted to do exactly what we did, both EPs on a 12-inch. And I was like, that would be awesome. And we were in the talks of that for a minute, and then to see it actually come out and see it, the layout and everything, it just was so exciting. It's been so cool, and to see the reception of it and see people really get a hold on it. Because I know when the the 2 EPs came out on their own, it did cool, but once we signed with the Flatspot dudes and put out the 12-inch, and a lot of people are hearing it for the first time, even though some of this stuff has been out for a little bit. It's cool that now they got a physical to go with it, and it's just cool. It's really cool to see people hyped on it, because I don't even know what to expect when I first did. It was kind of just like a little side thing. I want to little passion project, something where I could do vocals on, and something that is almost entirely all me, something that I like vision wise, where I could just like put everything I want unfiltered out there. And it's cool to see people mess with it. It's like, because most, sometimes you play in a band and everybody has their, opinions and stuff, and whether it's merch or songs or whatever. And I was like, which I'm cool with that. Absolutely. But doing it where it was mainly just my ideas, I was just like, oh, nobody's going to stop me if I want to put Bobby Humphrey on the record. Nobody's gonna say nothing. So I was like, all right, then I want to do that. I want this, and I want this in the song. And oh yeah, look at that break. It's like 2 seconds. I want to put that in the song too. And I want to just do all these little things, and then have nobody really say anything about it. I'm like, okay, well, here you go. This is what I was doing. This is what these are my ideas. I hope you like it. And then, lo and behold, people rock with it. So it's cool. Now I'm digging on it. Like, I'm really excited that people are excited about it.
Yeah. It is so obvious in even like your live shows or the photos that everybody takes of you guys. Like, we can totally tell that the creative flexibility, you're thriving in it. It's just so amazing. You guys look so free and just so happy and expressive. And I can tell that it's definitely something. I could tell that this is definitely the start of a brand new era, just creatively, even psychologically. So we're so excited for y'all. Now, when I was 12 years old and I heard Skrillex for the first time ever, I felt like a rock star. So right after high school, I spent a few years in the EDM scene. So my first concert was a 2017 Excision show in Dallas. And man, mosh pits and front rail headbanging were the absolute best. But you all have actually you guys have kickstarted my hardcore awakening.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
I wish I could have recorded my reaction to Straight from the Tribe of the Moon, the music video. Bravo. The video's concept is brilliant. On camera, it just looks like the best day ever. Can you talk about that day and the process of making it happen?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first off, thank you so much. That means a lot. That's a cool experience. I like really is like Zulu, like the first kind of into the hardcore sort of. I'm so happy that it's that band, and that I'm so happy that that's like the first, like, that's amazing. Honestly, that's so cool. That gets me really pumped. Thank you though. Shoot, Straight from the Tribe of the Moon. Okay, so I did a video for, what song was it? We did a song for On the Corner of Cimarron and On the Corner of Cimarron. We did the video. I don't know if you've seen that one.
I've seen a couple other videos, but I'm so bad with the titles. Oh my goodness. But
don't even worry. We did a video where we basically beat up a Klansman.
Yes, that was the one.
That was
like, oh, they're going there. Yes, I'm here to stay. I love that music video.
That was the first video. And so on the record, Straight from the Tribe was the song before. Originally, I wanted to do a video that connected both videos, but that was a lot of work considering there wasn't a lot of context at first. I mean, obviously, what's happening immediately, but why is this fool getting chased? That could be for many reasons. So I wanted to do Straight from the Tribe of the Moon to be the prequel to that video, but that didn't end up happening. I was like, all right, you know what? That's a lot of work, and is a lot of work to do it. But I was like, all right, I got all these other we had a bunch of other video ideas we wanted to do, stuff we didn't even talk about yet that will eventually come out one day. We'll one day get to it. But when we were coming up with ideas, we're like, oh, we want to do another video for one of the songs. I was like, it should be for this song. Like, it was either between this or Now They're Through With Me, first song off the second EP. Or I guess the second song, technically. The poem is the first song. So we were like, all right, what can we do? What do we got to do? And I was like, we were talking about in our group chat, and me and Des guitars, we were like, it'd be sick to just have like a video, which is a bunch like take it back to the old school type, like just fools posted up, having a good time, lowriders or something like that, G rides and all that. On some LA type business, like that's like, I was like, this is that stuff that we love. I love it. All of us in the band can, that's like stuff that we grew up on. Many of the things we grew up on, but I was like, all right, let's do something like this. I think we can achieve it. We have the resources. We know people that can do it. And so there wasn't really even like a treatment we did. It was just basically like, all right, we're going to do a little casting call. I'm like, I want as many Black folks in it as possible that are down. Granted, given the times are rough right now. So I was like, all right, well, let's see how many people we can get, how we could do it safely. And it all just worked out. And then our homie Luis helped get the rides, helped get the location, all like, we were like, all right, cool. Like they were asking like, how do you want it to look? I was like, well, just think late 90s, early 2000 type hip hop style. Fools posted up, close angles, kind of wild, little back and forth with the cameras, different shots, very stereotypical, but still like cool, like that throwbacky type vibe. And I was like, all right, cool. And it came out almost exactly how I envisioned it. Like, there's always things I could imagine could have been added, but it was awesome. Like Tyler, who did the video, he killed it on it. I was like, yo, this looks great. And we look cool. And I was just like, I was like, oh, we look cool. It's a lot more in comparison to that first video. We're beating up a Klansman and then we kill him at the end. This is like, oh, we're just having a good time. It's still the same record, but it came together really easy. It was not, that day was really cool. The people that came out to the shoot, a lot of friends there, a lot of people that were into the band came out, and shoot, it looks like how the day went. The video looks like how the day went. Like we're having a good time, you know what I mean? Everyone was just posted up, just on some cool vibes. So
yes, and I can definitely see the correlation across different projects from your other music video. I mean, and it's just so good. And your album art is by Savannah Imani Wade. It is fantastic. I look at it and I think about I Want You by Marvin Gaye, or Any Storm by El DeBarge, and One Nation Under a Groove by Funkadelic. It's so clear you all have a vision and a purpose. I would love to know, what was the most challenging part of developing your musical signature?
I could safely say I don't think I came through with a challenge when it came to all, especially like, and a lot of people ask this question about why did I choose the style of music. On the real, like, I just wanted to play something heavy, and I wanted to play something where the songs were short, where the message was fast and wasn't whole lot of words there, and then some fast parts. And I was like, but I really wanted it heavy. I wanted to be like a heavier. I've done punk, I've done hardcore, I've done indie. I was like, I want to do something closer to metal, but I don't know how to play metal that well on guitar. I don't know how to play metal on guitar. Let's put it that way. I could just about get by. Drums, like for days, but since I was on guitar, I was like, all right, let me write to the best of my ability, and then let me work with let me work that structure game a little bit to freak it out a little bit. And that's where it was like, oh, I'm playing Powerviolence. Before I realized I'm playing a brand of Powerviolence. I might not be playing like your stereotypical, but I'm playing like that heavier, like Sex Prisoner, Weekend Nachos style, beat down, but still fast and short Powerviolence. And I was like, so I was writing songs like, oh, I guess that's what that is. Yeah. I guess I really wanted to do something like that. And then I was like, you know what? Yeah, I do want to kind of push it towards that. And like, I had a lot of like musically, there's a lot of influence, but like, if you want to talk, like, I guess musically sound wise, I was really into like that early, like Mind Eraser, like early, like Trash Talk stuff. That was like what was getting me pumped to do it. And I was like, okay, but yeah, that was it wasn't so hard. It was really actually easy once I figured out like all the little things I wanted to do, and then I just put it together. I'm like, oh, this is what that is. Like, yeah, I'll go for it.
Yes, and it came so natural. It was such a smooth transition into the scene.
Yeah.
So, that is wonderful.
Thank you.
Growing up, my dad had a huge collection of CDs and cassette tapes. He was a self-employed welder. So while he worked in the backyard, I heard him playing Shaka Khan and Bobby Black and Earth, Wind, and Fire. He went to concerts in the 70s and 80s, and he has like plenty of like stories to tell. But he was 26 when Thriller came out, and he remembers flipping from the A side to the B side of Songs in the Key of Life, and watching Soul Train on Saturdays. There are a ton of golden age hip hop references in your track names. For example, 52 Fatal Strikes takes us back to Duel of the Iron Mike by GZA. ODB uses that line in the chorus, and then Straight from the Tribe of the Moon is a Black Moon reference.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, let's say Zulu breaks out in the 1970s, the 1980s, or even 1960s. What do you think your music would sound like? Do you think it would be the same? Do you think it would be more aggressive? What do you think?
Oh, okay. First off, thank you for like, not a lot of people pick up on those references. There's a lot of sly little, not even sly. I'm mad, like obvious with it. But if you're not into like, say soul, or you're not into golden age hip hop, then you won't catch it. A lot of people have asked me like, what's the significance to this title, this and that? And I'm like, okay, well, some of it is from literally songs that I like from artists that I like. Some of it is just, I don't even, but anyways, that's a great question. Lord of mercy. If Zulu was like in the, okay, let's say 60s. If it sounded anything like it does now, folks would be scared. Like, people were scared of like rock music.
Hand off the radio, they would take it down.
Couldn't even imagine what Zulu would sound like. But check it, I dig on all that stuff. We probably, okay, if Zulu was a band in the 60s, I'd probably be on my like lowrider oldies funk tip. Like, I'd be playing like love songs, or I'd be singing about what I'm singing about now, same thing, but just on a more soulful tip. But I also love funk, so it might have been funky. It might have been on that early wave of like when fools in the late 60s were starting to bust out those break beats and stepping away a little bit more from soul into funk. Well, not that they ever did, but it broke off. I probably would have been on that break off tip of like playing funk music, just like raw and with like break beats and just doing some like ignorant like shouting in the back. So something like, I don't know, something like that probably. 70s, I'd probably be on the same tip. I'd probably I'll probably be closer to like trying to get, trying to push the envelope by that, by like late 70s. Punk was definitely a thing. I would have been on that punk tip. I would have been on that punk tip from early. I think so.
Well, do you think, if we transport back to today, do you think that, or what do you think your sound says about the times today? Because like you said, there's definitely a clear message, and you love that about the art because it is just kind of straightforward. You don't have to guess about it. What do you think your sound says about the times today?
Like the sound of the music?
Yes, or just your lyrics or your whole aura, your whole energy. What do you think? What are you trying to say in terms of just being reflective of the times today?
I'm just kind of emphasizing it, if anything. It's clearly like, as a lot of people will look at the artwork and it looks cool, but like if you really look at it, especially like you look at My People, without saying a lot, it says a lot. Funny, and like it's not even funny. I was gonna say funny enough. I guess what a lot of people don't know, I've said this in a couple of interviews, it's a zoomed in version of a scene from the first record. So if you look closely, there's like the police fool being a clown, but you can see that on the first record. You can see the guy getting arrested on the first record, and then that's just a scene right before that, but just a little zoomed in, darker version. But yeah, I think it's just emphasizing what's going on, what's been going on, what never really changed. Although people want to talk about change, like it's been a significant change. And there has been, but it's still very much is the same. So that's where I'm just like, I'm not saying anything new in these songs. Songs like this have been written over and over again. It's just the genre is different, is really what it comes down to, the genre. And then I'm just, I guess, influenced by a lot of other things that I want to include in it. So, but lyrically speaking, in comparison to what's going on today, I'm not talking about anything new, and that's probably the most upsetting thing, is that we still are making songs like this. And that's what, I didn't want it all to be negative, and I don't want it all to be negative. Like there's way more to being Black than just negativities. There's so many good, there's amazing things that culture and I can't even know. There's everything is amazing about being Black. I did a podcast earlier and I was talking a little bit about that with the homie. I was like, yo, being Black is tight. It is amazing. Like people try, and so many people try to emulate and duplicate, but they can't. And I'm like, okay, so that's why I'm like, I don't want to talk about negative stuff, but there's so many things I want to get across, and this is some of the things that I'm gonna need to talk about, and I gotta talk about things that, like I said, have been talked about before, but in this sort of genre, in this realm, it's so in your face and just like it's so abrasive. And honestly, that's how I'm coming at it with. That's how I'm like, oh, I'm not trying to be nice about it. I'm not trying to sugarcoat nothing. I'm just trying to be to the point and to show you what's up, and that's it. Like, I do want to talk about more stuff though. Trust, and as the LP comes along, which is in the works, I'm gonna be talking about lots of other things. It's not gonna be all, it's still all good vibes at the end too. There's great vibes. A lot to celebrate too. So I'm like, yo.
Yes, I completely agree. And as you've said before, you're not an educator, you're a musician, and it's all of our responsibilities to educate ourselves. You all are simply just celebrating your lives. So that's so cool. Yeah, I definitely feel like I'm still coming down from the high of all of the Black art that's been created. Like even the Rolling Stones were inspired by Howlin' Wolf. My dad told me he's a 30s Chicago blues pioneer from Mississippi. So we've always been elastic and multifaceted and thoroughly gifted in however we choose to express ourselves. Like our dreams, they are vivid, our imagination is valid. And I think you all were featured in Blunt magazine last November, and Mike Honan defines Powerviolence as an inherently free-form explosion of organized aggression. You know, I feel like that was a great way to put it.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah. Now, you all are, of course, you're forever allowed to be genreless and timeless. But the punk rock era, it definitely, like you said, has characterized rebellion. Rage often appears whenever we lack understanding or control in a scenario. And over the years, I've come to realize that my rage is usually only trying to look out for me. Like my rage forces me to pay attention to myself and surrender to the unknown. And I've had to forgive myself over and over for just trying to shut myself down whenever I'm reacting to the emotion. And I definitely believe we all deserve all of the emotional freedom in the world.
Right.
I would love to know, what were some of your earliest memories of rage, or if you have experienced it, and just kind of like, how would you describe your overall relationship to rage, to that department of emotions?
Wow, that is a deep question. And since that is a deep question, I'm gonna take it back. So, and Lord, all right, that was a great question. So, growing up, and I'm sure many people can relate to this. I wasn't really taught like how to, I don't know how to put this. And I've talked about this a lot, but I don't even know how to put it. So I'll try to put it the best way I can. A lot of stuff I seen growing up, especially growing up in my household, was mainly fueled with rage or anger, or I should say, about putting anyone on blast, but but yeah, my folks were separated, and a lot of what I've only ever seen was just like anger. And like the only way I was ever, for the longest time, able to the only way I could was, how am I saying this, express myself, was through that, or that was what I learned. You know, that was the first time, like, oh, when you're not feeling good, you should just be angry. And that's, you know, or when whatever something happens, anger is the first thing you go to. So that was something, you know, it took a long time to get to where I'm like, okay, to be able to understand that that's not healthy, but at the same time, that it's okay to feel anger and it's okay to feel that, but it's, I guess, how you display it is the tricky part. So it was a, you know, since then it took a lot, like that's how I'd react to a lot of things, just like, dang, like it sucked being, I wasn't mad all the time, but like I realized you can get angry so quick over little things. And I find myself doing that a lot, and I'm sure a lot of people that grew up and that are my age, you know, I'm not old, but we're the last, our parents are kind of the last generation before we started changing up stuff, or before we realized that we should start changing up how we are, and getting rid of all those toxic ways that maybe our parents' generation, you know, was dealing with and stuff. So I was like, okay, I gotta figure out how to not get so angry at all these little things that happen. So rage and anger was a tough thing, because that's like a lot of us only knew that and didn't know how else to express ourselves. So around the time when I started writing the Zulu stuff, that was a tough point. I was in a tough period in life, and I won't go into all that, but I was in a tough period in life. So there's definitely a lot of rage and a lot of anger in there in writing the songs. You know what I mean? And it shows a little bit, but I definitely was like, okay, I gotta not well, I guess for this, what I'm talking about, I'm fair to talk about and be angry about and to get on a hype about. So, but that's not the only thing I wanted to show, because it's so easy for people to be like, oh yeah, Black folks always get angry, always are quick to be on a hype, or always fighting, all this and that. Like, oh, they're just ghetto, they're just this and that. I'm like, no, I don't want it to be just like, I don't want that to be the extent of it, because yeah, it is hardcore. Yeah, it is like on some heavier shit, but they expect that. A lot of people expect that without even, and a lot of people won't even say it, but they'll think it. And maybe not so much people in the hardcore scene, but people outside, ignorant people, you know, that watch movies and that's the only way they see Black folks portrayed in movies. You know what I mean? Like, so I was like, that's not it though. That's not the only thing. I'm not just mad. Like, I want you to understand why. And I want you to also know that there's a whole nother side to this stuff. So not necessarily did it, I hope I'm not deviating from the conversation. I'm kind of,
it's perfect. It's perfect.
Kind of expanding on it. So I was like, I want to write some heavy music, but I want to show people where my influence comes from. And I want there to be a cool bounce to it. So I'm like, all right, let me throw in some soul interludes. Let me throw in some funk. Let me throw in some reggae. So let me throw in things that I like to kind of, I don't know, make this just bigger than just a hardcore record. Add things that are, like I said, I guess I always say true to myself, but true to myself. And also a little bit of a nice breather between songs, and a little bit of just like, just a little, you know, a little bit of niceness in there. So I was like, yeah, let me go ahead and do that. And I loved it. I was so, I had that vision. I was like, I want to do that. I want to show people it's not just about yelling, and it's not just about all this hard stuff, because yeah, we can do that, but yeah, we can also have some groove in there, and some soul, and some mellowness, I should say, you know. And it was nice too to start the first record the way it is, because it's a really calming, really relaxing. Sometimes some hardcore records do that. Some records have done. Some records are just like heavy all the way through, just straight up, like right out the gate, like you're entering, I don't know, Satan's cell or something like that. I don't know, something crazy. A lot of metal will do stuff like that. But I'm like, all right, I want it to be nice. And I'm like, I remember hearing that Nina Simone excerpt from an interview she did, and I was like, that's it. That's what I want. I want it on the record. I don't know where, but I need it. And I was like, oh, that. And then I had Welcome by John Coltrane on it, under what was under her speaking. I was like, because I knew I wanted that song. I knew I wanted her. I was like, I think this can work. And I hit up the homie from England. He goes under by the name Tony Montana. And he was like, I was like, yo, can you hit me up with this interlude and just like have her speaking on it, put some reverb on it, and then just let's take the song down a couple octaves and make it a little deeper. And when he came back with that, I was like, Lord mercy, that's what I'm talking about. I was like, I want that as the first thing. I want people to expect a hardcore record, but the first thing they hear is some straight up jazz and some knowledge being kicked by Nina Simone. And I was like, this is what I want to show people. Like, there's hard, there's soft, there's like all these elements to it. And that it's not just about being angry. And it helped kind of contain that little rage, you know what I mean? And then eventually I went to therapy and I started learning about myself and learning about stuff and how to control and how to deal with it properly. And it's helped, because now that stuff is still there and it's still valid to feel all that stuff. But now I'm like, okay, I know how to deal with it. I also know how I want to express it. And this music avenue, more specifically this hardcore music avenue, helps channel that a little bit. you know, it's like the perfect place. I get to yell, I get to scream and yell and shout. I get to put some heavy riffs on it. At the shows, I get to beat people up to it, and then after that, I'm chilling. Like, I get up there for a second. I get, not that I'm vexed while I'm up there. I'm happy to be up there, but I'm still talking about some deep stuff, and that still makes you vexed. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go up there, handle mine, get it out, and then it's still there, but I'm chilling a little bit more. I know how to. I channeled it into that. So I hope this answer kind of did something to that question or helped answer it a little bit.
Of course, it was such a beautiful answer. Like you said, like, it's not all you are anymore. You're definitely using your anger as a tool to communicate and relate to people. Like, I definitely relate to your parents' situation, because my parents, they are divorced, and I was about like maybe like 10 or 11 years old whenever I heard them kind of like, arguing at night. And whenever that, it was usually because my dad is a little bit more like, he's kind of calm. Like if something is kind of going on like that, he'll just kind of sit and just kind of be there. But my mom is definitely, she is more reactionary, and I completely have compassion for that, just because of everything that she's gone through, and she hasn't really had an outlet or any kind of, she hasn't really processed what's going on in her life and stuff. So I completely understand. But I think being their kid, I just immediately internalized it as like, they're fighting because of me, because they have to pick me up for my piano lesson or like band rehearsal or whatever. And I'm just like, okay. So in those moments, I taught myself like, okay, whenever I feel some type of way, I'm just gonna try not to exist. I'm gonna try to be invisible and just like never talk about it, never let it out, just let everybody else air it out, and I'll just kind of like sit there and deal with it by myself. And that definitely played into a lot of like escapism, just like developing this fantasy for myself as a kid. Like, okay, I'm just gonna live, I'm gonna watch SpongeBob right now, and I'm just gonna under the sea, I'm not even gonna worry about it.
Exactly.
But going into, I guess, like adult world or whatever, like you can't do that, because you have to wake up on Monday and go to work and stuff. You can't sit around and watch SpongeBob. So, and actually last week, I kind of had a bit of an argument with my mom, and afterward, I just kind of felt like really, really shameful and guilty, because I was just like so mad at myself for again experiencing anger. And I went to my therapist, and I was just like, man, I just feel so terrible. Like, what? I wish I could have kept the facade going on for longer. Like, I wish I could have kept it all under wraps for longer. And she had told me, like, anger is just as important an emotion as happiness or as curiosity. And anger is completely safe, because I guess like you were talking about with your parents, if you grow up in an environment like that, you don't really know when it's safe to be happy or when it's safe to be confused or when it's safe to ask questions. So it's definitely cool that you have transformed that and you channel it into your art, and you channel it into your performances, because there's just so much energy there, and it's so contagious. And like, I swear, I was just like headbanging around in my living room. I was like, oh, this is so cool. And everybody that I've showed the music video to, they're just like, this just makes me feel so free and so liberated, and I want to listen to more music like this. So it's definitely a job well done. You guys are doing amazing.
Thank you. Wow, that just makes me feel so happy, because I'm just like, yo, that's like what I wanted more than anything. I wanted to get that. I wanted people to feel that, like, yeah, I can't even express how happy that makes me feel. So thank you. That's really like, that feels like my goal is being accomplished, and hearing about it from people, it really is just like, wow, anytime anyone ever mentions stuff, especially specifically Zulu stuff, I'm like, wow, like, it's, I don't have words for it, you know what I mean? Like,
no, it's so no, I can definitely see it. I know you guys will just be touring all over the world, and your audience will continue to expand.
Thank you.
what do you well, we kind of already talked about like what kind of energy you want your art to give off, but kind of just like, what kind of community do you wish to create? Like, say somebody listens to your music and they're a musician as well, and they start, like putting their skills together and they create things, what kind of community, what kind of chain reaction do you want to create?
My main goal in all this, my vision is to get Black folks more comfortable, or to make Black folks feel comfortable to come out, to play in bands, to go to shows, to show up in numbers, because that's the toughest thing for the longest time. And people will try to say up and down how inclusive hardcore is, when it is probably the furthest thing from being inclusive. I'm like, yo, it is. It just is. It never has been. It never has been. It's always been a white dominated thing. Just to see, my goal is to see like Black folks starting more bands, feeling comfortable to start bands and to play shows and to come out. I just repeated myself, but basically that's my, what I want to see more of, where, especially the newer generation, where for people, my generation, where we grow up going, we're still like getting looked at like we're crazy, like, oh snap, you like punk, and you could, okay, there's a couple different sides, and I've talked about this before, but from some people they're like, oh, you listen to punk? Oh, that's just white people music. And then some people are like, oh, you listen to punk? Like, what are you doing here? Listening to this heavy music, listening to this guitar music, like surprised that you're into it. And I'm like, and then, many times where I'll tell people like, yo, yeah, I play music. And it's like, oh, what do you rap? You produce? I'm like, no, I don't. And I know why you're saying that, and I don't like it. So I'm trying to just, I guess, breaking down that barrier that is just where, and you think it would have been broken by now, but it just isn't. It still is up. Trying to break that down, that line was just that ignorant line. I just want it gone, so I could have more people out here at these shows with us, enjoying it and feeling like they actually belong there, because they do. And the hard reality for, not the hard reality, but the real thing is, all this stuff would not exist without Black folks. Any of this rock stuff, any genre of music,
we're everywhere.
It's everywhere. It started because of Black folks. Like the swag these people have, from fashion to art or whatever, like you would not have this without Black folks, but you took it. So I'm just trying to be a part of the newer bands that are taking it back. And that's the kind of corny thing to say, but it's true. I'm trying to do that. That's my goal. That's the community I want, And again, I'm not an educator. I'm not here to, I'm not the person to come to when people are trying to be like, oh, what should I do to change this? I'm like, no, like figure it out on your own. All I'm trying to do is just be me and do us unapologetically, and have the newer generation have bands to look to that wasn't just the Bad Brains, you know what I mean? That wasn't just like Living Color or like Bad Brains, or I guess you could really say Bad Brains for the scene, because like whenever anyone wants to try to compare something, and I'm just gonna divert a little bit. So I know once in a while we'll get like, oh, you guys remind me of Bad Brains. I'm like, in what world do we sound like the Bad Brains, fool? Like, we sound nothing like that band. I know why you think we do, and that is ignorant. You need to get that out of your head, fool.
You're not fully.
And you need to get from right here. I don't want you around me anyways. But no, I the reality is I love Bad Brains, but still, that's just my goal, is that, having this new generation of people to have something to look to, and have a community, so that they can have a proper community and do what I've always wanted. You know what I mean?
Of course.
That's my goal.
That is so cool that you love it so much. And I can tell that it loves you back. It's the perfect union. It's just like written in the stars. It's so exciting.
Thank you.
For my final question, I'm so sad because this has just been so much fun.
It's been really nice talking, honestly.
Yes, I'm so sad. But for my final question, I would love to say, is there anything you would like to say to yourself, kind of as like a cheers or a toast to all the work that's been done so far? What are you proud of yourself for? Like future Anaiah, he's touring across the world, everything, he's traveling, doing his thing. And he looks back on this interview and like, maybe he's having a hard time figuring something out. And he's looking to younger version of Anaiah. What would you like to feed back to yourself? What are you proud of yourself for right now after everything that's happened?
That's a great question too. You've been with it with the great questions. Thank you so much. Honestly, not often do get cool questions like these, or like really introspective. I think that's the word. If it's not, nobody come for me because I'm not that smart. So I don't know words like that, but I think that's the word to use for this situation. And I think being able to get, and obviously this doesn't just rely on me, the fact that I was able to find such talented musicians to do it with me and to help be able to spread that word is dope. Like, I'm happy to have been able to get the motivation to do it. I think what stopped me for so long wasn't that I was discouraged, and I never would be discouraged to do it, but I guess unsure of how stuff would go and how it'd be taken. I figured it'd have some cool reaction to it, but like, I really want people to like understand, and it seems people understand what we're trying to do, that it's not just a surface level band, that there's actually a goal and like what we're talking about and the visuals that come with it, because it's so important. So I'm proud that I was able to relay that, because for me, some of this stuff seems a little bit abstract sometimes. The way when it comes to putting together the songs or like visuals, it's a bit it's like a sensory overload sometimes, even for me. So I'm happy that people can see what I see. Now I can be more proud of that, like of myself or my bandmates or myself for that, where I'm just like, wow, like people actually get it and they see where I'm coming from and they see what I'm doing. Because I've had so many people and a lot of Black individuals come up and say how much of an influence I've been, or like how much my work means to them. I'm like, yo, that is, I can't put the words how happy that makes me and how proud I feel for that. And that's just, that's like the beginning for me. That's like the beginning of like an era that I want to see perpetuated, of bands coming out, more bands coming through like us, bands like Playtime from Atlanta, bands like Move from out in Boston. Like, that's my goal. That's what I'm proud of. I'm proud to see people. I'm proud that people see it too, and that they are so supportive of it. Because it's tough. It's tough to try to start a band. It's tough to do what we're doing specifically. That's really hard, So that, I think, would be my answer to that question.
Yes, it definitely shines through. I tell you, if you type in Anaiah Lei on YouTube, you get a whole bunch of like these videos of when you were super young and you were
a bunch of random things. Skating, music, shenanigans. Oh Lord, there's a lot of stuff.
You do so much. It's so cool. and it's just the beginning. And even things outside of music, like, okay, I still haven't, okay, you're gonna be disappointed in me, but I haven't started, I've never seen Star Wars before. I literally, there's been
Lord.
so many different signs from the universe. You gotta watch Star Wars, you gotta watch Star Wars. So
I like that you mentioned it though. That means you figured out some stuff about me where it was very like apparent that Star Wars is a big part of my life. Wow. You know what? No, it's all good. When people say they haven't seen Star Wars, I don't get like, you haven't seen Star Wars? What's wrong with you? I get like, you haven't seen Star Wars. You get to experience it for the first time. Like, I'm more hyped when someone hasn't seen it because I'm like, oh, you don't even know. Hopefully that it relates, because it relates to a lot of people the same way. But I hope I love when people tell me they have it. I'm like, oh, you need to watch it. You need to watch it in this order, and you need to get ready to freak out because this stuff rocks.
I'm so ready. I feel like I've been missing out on so much. I mean, there's so many people, of course, there's so many people that are into it. And I'm just like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna just listen to it. I'm gonna listen to the call. I'm gonna watch the movies, and I'm just excited. Yeah. Have you ever seen the movie Interstellar before?
I saw it when it came out, and I had a poster. I had an Interstellar poster that I can't even remember who gave it to me. And I don't know where it is now, but I had it in my room around the time when it came out. It's been a minute though, so I vaguely remember that movie. I need to revisit it.
It's my favorite movie of all time. So I'm just like, come on, Precious. You already love like the space theme and everything. So
yeah,
hopefully it won't be like a hard transition. But anyway, all in all, this has just been so amazing. In closing, I just want to thank you all so much for tuning into the For the Punks YouTube channel. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment letting us know what you thought of today's video. You can follow the band Zulu at Black Powerviolence on Instagram, stream their 2019 EP, Our Day Will Come, and their 2020 EP, My People Hold On all music streaming platforms. Please believe the hype. You have to check out their brand new music video, Straight from the Tribe of the Moon, on Afropunk. Like we said before, they are all sold out on vinyl, but as of today, I think there's still time to grab your Straight from the Tribe of the Moon t-shirt on Flatspot Records website. And shout out to the East Coast, because this November, you'll want to stay tuned for Zulu to tour in your area. So once again, Anaiah, just congratulations to all of you. You got me for a fan. You got me as a fan for life. You'll forever have a home at For the Punks. So just thank you so much for hanging out with us today. It was an honor.
Thank you so much. Honestly, this was cool. This is a cool, nice time. I appreciate everything, having us on and all that stuff, and wanting to talk about Zulu stuff. This is cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate everything.
No, of course. I'm wishing you all the best. I'm gonna play your music video a million more times. Everything is good. So thank you so much. I will let you go and have a beautiful rest of your day, okay?
All right, you too. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right.